as we go through the features, and we run more and more of these. And so that's the built-in capabilities that we have inside of Synapse Studio for doing monitoring. But there are other places where you can get more information. And so we're going to open a tool called Spark UI. Now, Spark UI is open source. It comes with every copy of Spark, but each company adds their own capabilities to Spark UI, and it also has another manifestation, which is called Spark History Server. And here we can see some of the same information that we've already seen. We can see the tasks which were executed. We can see what's going on for each one of those tasks, and we can drill in. And here we can start to take a look at the timeline for this particular stage. And here you can see that the driver was executed. Remember, the driver is the executor that actually runs the program. And then there were two executors added. They were never removed until the end of the job, and they didn't do much work. If you look here, they only completed over here because we were sitting waiting for me to press the button to actually go ahead and do things. I can also look at a visualization of the graph, and this was the cell, remember, where I just took the very simple data frame and I asked it to be parallelized. So super simple from that perspective. And so this allows me to really drill into the details of what's going on under the covers. Now, Spark UI can be a little intimidating, but that's okay. You'll get to learn it over time and really, browse through the app, understand what's going on, and use it to solve problems. And over time, you'll start to become very comfortable with it. If we take a look at the event timeline here at the job level, here you can see the executors and drivers being added. You can see a little bit of work being done here, and then a little bit of work being done here, and then the big gap in the middle that leads us to the conclusion that I was being super inefficient with my executors. I can look here at the different stages. We already drilled into that once. I can take a look here at storage. We'll actually come back to that when it's finished running the notebook, or we should come back to that when it's finished running the notebook. If we go over here to the environment, remember I said Spark includes lots and lots of parameters. Well, these would be the lots and lots of parameters here. You see we can keep scrolling. You can't edit any of the parameters here. You must just take a look at them. But you can change those parameters using that configuration file that I talked about earlier, remember. And I can take a look at more details about the executors and what they've actually been doing. So here you can see how much time is spent in garbage collection. That's a big, important one to look for, not with data sets this small, but with bigger data sets and lots of partitions. You can see how much memory was used. So a whole bunch of information. Again, it seems intimidating at first, but once you get comfortable with it and used to it, then it's a great way to understand what's going on and to diagnose what's going on. And nothing in the SQL view, that's right. Okay, so we've taken a look at Spark UI. We've taken a look at the monitoring UI. Let's just check and see if this executed all the way to the end successfully, which it did not. So let's go ahead and run all here, and we'll get some data inside of a view that shows us a storage. So remember, down here, we were doing cache, and then we were doing persist. One's memory and one's out to disk. And then we do the print here to go ahead and get the counts. We go ahead again and we take a look at Spark UI. We go to storage. Here we go. This is what I was looking for earlier. So we can see that one RDD, the RDD is the data structures that underlie the data frame. You can see here that there was a memory deserialized, so something was persisted in memory, and that it was 100% cached, and it was using 1.6K. Remember, only 3 rows, so that sort of makes sense. And then here, we actually serialized to disk. We only had 3 partitions here. 100% was cached because it's tiny. Nothing is in memory, but yet everything went to disk. So that shows you the behavior of those 2 different approaches to trying to do some performance optimization. All right, let's go ahead and run through some other notebooks here. We'll collapse up some space. So this one's pretty simple. I'm going to load this file set. This file is 15 million rows of taxi data. If you're familiar with the yellow cab, you can see 15 million. If we look at the number of partitions, it's 8 again, for the very same reason that we're using 2 executors and 8 cores. If you take a look at the distribution this time, though, it's a lot more interesting than the 0010010. Here we have a couple of million rows in this particular case for each one of these partitions. And we're going to repartition this into 1, which we didn't do before. Remember, we repartitioned into 3. And this is a very boring set of code. And I'm going to show it to you once, and then we'll scroll to the end, and then we'll move on. So what I'm doing here is an exercise to try and